1.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, October the 8th, 2024, and it's 4 o'clock, and we will start our community development meeting today. Call to order. First, we will tell who's here. We do have Councilman Tim Andrew, Councilwoman Amanda Cook, and Councilwoman Vicky McKeever, and yours truly is Councilman Tyrone Johnson. So we will move to the items. 2024-400, in the consideration of a resolution conveying real property to a nonprofit corporation. And we will have Don McKnight, our Assistant Community Development Director, to come up.
Good afternoon, everyone. Don McKnight, Assistant Director of Community Development and Housing Department. We have a resolution that we would like to the council to consider. And this item that we're submitting, the purpose is to conveyance of property for affordable housing development. The purpose is to continue infill housing development efforts in the core city. The Community Development and Housing seeks council approval to convey the following lots to Empowerment Headquarters in Southside Community: 813 Vale Avenue, 817 Vale Avenue. The conveyance will facilitate affordable housing and serve a public purpose in accordance with the state statute. Background: since being designated a community housing development organization with the City of High Point, this will be Empowerment Headquarters' first project. Construction is anticipated to begin late fall. Budget impact: none. Requested: the Community Development and Housing Department recommends approval of the resolution conveying the property to Empowerment Headquarters, and that the appropriate city official and/or employee be authorized to execute all necessary documents.
All right. We have any questions?
Yes, excuse me, good afternoon, Councilman Andrew. Is this Empowerment Headquarters' first dealings with the city?
Yes, my understanding is yes.
And do they have a track record of any previous development in other cities, or this is their first time?
Yes, they do.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Anyone else? Councilman Johnson here. How long has Empowerment Development been around? Do we have
I don't have that background information with me.
2015.
2015? Perfect. Councilman Andrew is on top of it. Great, thank you. All right. There's not any other questions from any other council? All right, so I want to make a motion to approve the resolution conveying 813 and 817 Vale Avenue properties and authorize the appropriate city officials to execute all necessary documents. If I get a second. Great, it's been properly motioned and moved. Second, let's take a vote. Is that right? So we'll take a vote by all signs of aye if we will move forward.
Aye.
Any nays? Great, it passes. Thank you. The next one we will go is 2024-401, local code strategic strategy plans update, and Don McNeil, Assistant Community Development Director, will give us that as well.
Yes, I'm going to pass this off to Ms. Kaylee Parrish. She's the acting manager in the local code division of affordable housing. She's going to provide an update.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
One moment, I'm gonna get this situated. Okay. There we go. There you go. Thank you. So this strategic plan update is for September of 2024. In the month of September, we had 24 minimum housing cases. 20 of those minimum housing cases were citizen-initiated, and 4 of them were city-initiated. For public nuisance, we had a total of 215 cases. 111 were citizen-initiated, and 104 were city-initiated. For zoning cases, we had 73 for the total, 24 for the citizen, and 49 for the city-initiated. Just some code enforcement updates that we've been working on, kind of discussing. I'm not sure if anyone's seen this, but a text amendment has been proposed to change the ordinance in reference to the feather flags. I have been working with Cecile and Heidi in planning and development from the enforcement perspective to make sure that when that amendment is proposed, we can make sure we have the enforcement aspect covered. Inspectors are also removing crates/debris from medians that are prevalent from panhandling. You guys may be aware of the pilot program. So our main intersections are North Main, East Chester, Wendover, East Fairfield, and South Main, North Main, and Parkway. Now, the next few slides are an example of how proactive code enforcement can help reduce blight in neighborhoods. So 910 Randolph Street is a case that an inspector initiated, and after making the initial inspection, they determined that it is a repair or demolish case. The notice of hearing was held in April of 2023. The repair or demolish order was issued in May of 2023. The property was also sold in May of 2023. The residential construction permit was issued in July of 2023, and the certificate of occupancy was issued in January of 2024. So this was the exterior of the property when the inspector initially inspected the property. And this is after the CO issued. This is after the CO was issued for the property. Anyone have any questions?
That's what we love to see. Yes.
I was just curious, so it was sold and a new owner is basically renovating it to have it flipped or occupied? Do you know? I mean,
Yes, sir. So the new owner actually flipped it in order to sell it.
Right.
And the new property owner, after the CO was issued, is currently living in the property at this time.
excellent, thank you.
Great. Any questions or comments?
I had a question about this is Councilmember Cook, about the debris in the intersections and the panhandling. I didn't know if there was any data on, people often use the term that it's a safety hazard. Do we have data on the safety hazards actually happening, or is that just a cautionary term that we use?
So I think at this time, we're using it as a cautionary term. I do not have no data as of this time, but that's something I can look into and let you know.
Yeah, I would appreciate that, because I just want to make sure that if we're using that terminology, that there's a basis for using that. And then I had a follow-up. I've reached out to y'all recently because we had an incident in my neighborhood involving a home, and I was wondering if you could clarify a little bit more about what the conditions are that would cause a home to go under demolition or cleanup ordinance?
So as far as a demolition, for a case to be a demolition, the repairs inside the home have to exceed 65% of the building's dwelling. And we determine that, we actually have a program we use called Craftsman, and we put the repairs in there, and that's how we determine that number, 65% of the dwelling. And for us to go in and inspect the property, we have to have reasonable calls. So for example, some reasonable calls could be structural issues like holes in the roof, or we see broken out windows, things along those lines. As far as the cleanup on the exterior, if there is overgrown grass 12 inches or more, trash on the property, whether it's loose trash, building material, and limbs on the property as well. And depending on what's out at the property, 9 times out of 10, we will post the property unless someone's on site and we can speak with them. And the property owner gets 2 weeks to bring it into compliance. Failure to bring it into compliance within those 2 weeks will result in a contractor going and cleaning up the property.
Okay, I appreciate that, and I appreciate y'all being so helpful because I honestly did not know much about it, and we had a strange incident, and I think it's helpful to have that information out to the public because we often hear that people have these homes in their neighborhoods that they're concerned about and they don't really know what to do. So if citizens see a home that seems to be kind of falling out of repair, what is the recommendation for reporting that or trying to handle that?
So they can call me directly. I actually have a few brochures with me, so after this gets done, I can give a couple to you all if you would like. So they can call me and they can make a complaint, but depending on the exterior of the property, it could be minor things, could be major things. Typically, if they call, we're not reactive and going out and taking a look at these houses, because in order for us to inspect a property, we have to have a petition filed by 5 people in the neighborhood, and they have to provide their personal information through that as well.
And that was going to be my next question because it can be a difficult conversation. I did speak with that homeowner, maybe because I feel a little bit more empowered with my position to kind of speak on behalf of other people, but I know that that can be very scary and tricky if you aren't familiar with your neighbors. And so I didn't know if there was a way to do that anonymously, but it sounds like you really do have to kind of.
Yes, so everything we do is public information.
Okay. I appreciate you so much. And y'all really did help me out that day in answering my questions. So I'm just glad to get some of this information on the record.
Of course, thank you.
So Councilman Johnson, so I have a quick question. So in Councilwoman Cook example, so if she would call in to say about a house on address, because I've done this before. I'm one of those people that was under the citizens thing that called in, okay? And if they called and asked, well, who turned my name in? Or who, would that information be given?
If we have it documented on the record, yes. If we do not have it documented on the record, then we can't necessarily prove where that came from.
Okay. So they could call anonymously. Hey, I'm a concerned neighbor, and I'm calling in regards to this particular address. Okay.
Yeah, we've had that happen a couple of times.
All right. Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much.
Of course, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Great job. Our next one is 2024-402, and we'll just be getting an update on our affordable housing options for 1009 Leonard Street, the old former police station. And staff will be doing that. Okay. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. My name is Craig Stone with Winfield Properties. Thank you I will start, that it's not on the agenda, and say that we just received the award announcement for the flats at Old Winston Road, 48 units family. This year, incredibly competitive this year for the Housing Finance Agency tax credits, and that was just announced, and staff and everything that they did to help secure that did an incredible job. So I think for everybody, for the city and for the citizens we all serve, was a good thing.
Awesome. Look, we'll welcome that news, definitely.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Yes.
I apologize, we were not ready last week for some handouts, but we've been working on the Leonard Avenue site, and it has considerable amount of work left to go. But we have a brief handout here. Don't know who all gets a copy. I might keep one for me to use. But we've been working extensively, and you can see some of the elevations. We're not prepared to love the elevation just yet, so we're continuing to work on that. But this is for illustrative purposes to kind of show some things. We'll be adding shutters and things like that and making it more a part of what we say the fenestration and architectural study of High Point and some of the things that we've done in other locations. And we are also trying to incorporate some of the other lifestyle amenities like the bocce courts, the soccer fields and things like that into this particular application. We've worked with staff on that, and staff has pushed us to do some things there and incorporate some things that I think other staff members have had as comments to the particular site. I've got one other, this is a little bit of a larger site layout here.
Okay.
Thank you.
That shows the overall site. Might read this one easier, especially on my older eyes, to show some of what we're doing. But what we're trying to do is incorporate the 102 units. We're a little bit restricted by parking and the amount of adequate parking to facilitate what we're trying to do here. But we're also trying to incorporate some things with the way that this will face onto Leonard Avenue and then turn the corner that we think will be a little bit of an urban style, like we were able to do at Addington over in, right across from Admiral, if you remember. So we were working on some things there. Preliminary studies show the 102 units, and I think that we're also incorporating, while it will not be on our site, some things to address the bocce ball courts and some of the playground and other things that are in the area that we might be able to, while we're there doing some updates, also address and help out as well. We also want to try to accommodate, because there has been some community gardens in this particular neighborhood over the course of time that were wonderfully maintained over the years. And so while that will not be a part of our parcel, we do plan on putting some funds and setting those funds aside, if we have permission, to incorporate those into our plan to help with the overall sort of development of this area and some of the things that we're trying to do. So I think at this point, what we're trying to do is gather some extra thoughts and work through some details and financing structure and those kind of things to be able to move forward, and just wanted to give a brief update of what our efforts are to date.
Great. You said 100 and, Councilman Johnson, you said 102 units?
102 units right now. We're somewhat limited by parking, but we do currently have 102 units shown, and there may be some flexibility with that, slightly up, slightly down, but that's what the numbers are indicating now with our architectural group that we've worked on.
Great. Looks good. Does anyone have any comments or questions on council?
Did we want, remember the text we got from Councilman Harmon?
Thank you.
Councilwoman McKeever, you said something about parking. So you know how big the parking space you're going to have for the apartment, or?
Well, for this particular number of units and the required amount of parking, either at local municipal level and their requirements, and then also the Housing Finance Agency requirements, we're somewhat limited to 102 units at this time. And What you don't want to do is get an imbalance there to be able to serve the folks that, we'll be housing and providing housing to. So, there's some things there with that we're going to work on as well to see if we might be able to get a few more units in there, but we need to work through that. And we'll be contacting city staff about that and working through with them so that when we do present, if we're able to present and move forward to TRZ, we've got the appropriate requirements.
Okay.
Great. Any other questions? And so next we'll call on our staff to kind of give us direction on that.
Greg Ferguson, Deputy City Manager. I just wanted to make sure we got into the record that this is certainly not the only option for the site, but this is an option that was consistent with a comprehensive plan for 2045. So this would be a starting point to see if this would work on the site or other amenities would work on that site as well. So,
Perfect. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Looks like that is all we have on the agenda for today. And any comments or announcements need to be made? All right, meeting is adjourned.